Born Again Season 2 had an interesting storyline, and they just took it away from us. We have talked about Daniel as positively as possible for the past 3 weeks, being like, you know what, he's going somewhere. It's Penguin-esque, we're doing something.
He's the only new character that we care about in Born Again. I don't care about Heather, Buck,
BB, AVTF, Mulligan, Cherry,
Little Panther. Hell, there's a smorgasbord of them. But the only one who I'm interested in the character development of is Daniel, because you're like, is he going to mirror Fisk? How far is he going to go for his idol? That kind of stuff. And then they kind of for use of a better term, they assassinated his storyline.
They spent this season building him up. They actually gave him character, which again, he was kind of lacking in season 1 because he was just a desperate guy in season 1 kind of.
Whereas
last episode, they were building tension with the whole BB thing. We have a love story. He's simping, he shouldn't be. Inviting BB over to meet his mum. She obviously wants information.
But she's also kind of falling for him as well. They're both flipping. He's now less simping and more I need to do the Fisk stuff and turn you in. And she's, I need to use you less and I actually kind of like your family and who you are regularly. So it's it just makes me angry because...
we had a story.
And also because the events that lead to this episode aren't really clear. Just to recap, because we didn't talk about last week because we just felt that there wasn't enough content there. But going back, it made us just as angry, if not more angry than this week. So I'm like, shit, maybe. So Daniel invites BB to a dinner at his mum's house. And then while she's upstairs in the toilet, maybe leaking something that he's fed her, he goes into her pocket, the same one she was wearing the night of the boxing fight.
Which was days ago.
And finds an SD card, which she either, the night of the boxing fight, took out, scanned everything on it, and instead of putting it in her stash of SD cards or with her Fisk reporting stuff in her studio, whatever, which we know she has an underground secret studio where she films her Fisk report. No, she put it back in the jumper. Daniel finds it. We don't see if he actually looks at what's on the SD card.
No, we know he doesn't because he says, what's on this? Is it something else you're going to leak?
Yes. He's just angry that his girlfriend, who's a reporter journalist, he found an SD card on her.
That's illegal.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's illegal.
Do you know 99% of people who leak media to the ops were using a camera?
What the hell is that?
I keep my Bergenbeard subscription on there. Please don't subscribe to Bergenbeard.
He was trying to get her to leak information to prove that she was the rat so that Buck would kill her. But then she came around and decided, oh, I'm not going to leak the information. So oh, character growth, she's going to be nice to this guy. But then he finds the SD card, assumes the worst, and then is still going to get her killed. So it should have worked out that we could have had more tension, that she got away with it. But instead they're like, no, we've decided that Daniel needs to get rid of BB. So then we cut straight to this episode where he's taken away her phone, he won't let her leave, and then he's going to take her to a location where Buck will kill her. And she kind of goes along with it the whole time. And he has so many opportunities to flip on it and be like, you know what, you were doing the right thing, I'm going to do the right thing. But instead he waits till the very last minute, gets her to the place, she leaves, and then he goes inside and gets himself murdered. There was no other way that was going to go. Buck was always going to put on his killing gloves.
He also would have, because she was screaming and panicked trying to get away from Daniel. He would have heard her. He would have been waiting in there.
It's a good thing New York was empty that day.
Very true.
There's one guy with a backpack walking through the background.
The hustle and bustle of New York muffled her screaming. But yeah, he goes in. I mean, he is being honest. He says, I don't know where she is. Well, he's I think she had a birthday or something, but he could be I'm not lying. I don't know where she is. Because he's don't even tell me where you go. And then he's just run. But also go somewhere where Buck won't look to find you. We established that he's the fixer-upper man.
He knows where you would go when you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And also, Daniel could have run or he didn't try to lie because he was honest. He was always going to die. So it was kind of stupid for him to go up there. We get a nice shot at least, easily the nicest shot of the episode. But then, wha-bam, ba-bam, I kind of expected a fake out, we shot next to his head.
Yeah.
But we replayed it to be sure, and we definitely see his head cracks back against the floor, and it's dramatic. Now it's done, and it's literally it leaves us with BB, who we know is leaking stuff, and Buck also knows is leaking stuff.
But now there's nothing stopping her from leaking stuff.
Yeah, but she also lost her source, so she has nothing to leak anymore.
Well, she has the SD card now. Conveniently on her.
Was that already not leaked? Oh, God. Because Karen Page played some of the videos on the projector. So did we ever see BB leak what was on that SD card? Did she just not get around to it?
I think it was just the interviews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just never got around to leaking it.
Not that we saw, but maybe there's a BB report coming. She has it like catalogued.
It's like in case of death. Stupid. Stupid. But then we also have Buck, who is now just going to continue trying to hunt down BB, so we get that pointless storyline. But the reason Buck had to do this was so that someone else, another goon, would go to kill the governor, and then Bullseye would kill that goon.
Yes.
Because Daredevil was like, hey, go protect the governor, it'll balance the scales. And Bullseye's like,
I'm a good guy now.
yeah, which, I mean,
If
fair
I was
play.
Bullseye, I would have said, yeah, I killed Queenpin.
Yeah.
That was my one, because he said, I want to do one act that fixes everything.
Yeah.
And that's what he thought in his head would be the one act.
So he should have killed himself.
Perfect. Bang.
Bullseye. It epitomizes the whole like one tiny scene in every episode for like every little thing happening. Like Daredevil goes to Bullseye, then Bullseye goes to there and does that, and then Bullseye's gone. Like Bullseye has 30 seconds maybe total screen time.
Yeah.
We get the one scene with him and Matt where Matt's like, I hate you for Foggy. And he's like, fair enough. It's not anything new. It's nothing we didn't know before. We know Matt's the forgiving type.
Like Matt's
so-
kind of guilting him at the same time, though.
Yeah, but it's nothing we didn't get in the previous episode because it's not like there's no revelations there. Matt's like, oh, I'm going to use the guy to kill the guy because I'm a good Catholic boy. Like, cool. Speaking of Matt, he finally gets to do lawyering
Yes.
for 30 seconds.
But he doesn't actually lawyer. The whole Karen court case thing is they're like, oh, we don't have the jury to make the decision, but we have like the court of public opinion because it's like a televised court case for Karen. So they're like, I'd like to call out a backup defendant. And then Matt Murdock like busts open the doors and it's like holy light behind him.
It's a cool moment, or at least I guess it should be, because once he's there, you're right, he doesn't lawyer. I think he gets one line.
He talks to the head of the AVP.
Yes.
That's like he does one cross-examination, which that's not Matt's strong suit. I mean, it was, but Matt's big thing was like, he's like, you send him in last to do the impact statement at the very end.
Or he catches him in the lie.
Yes, we didn't have any heartbeat stuff.
Whereas literally what we learn from what Matt does, the lawyering, is he's like, you, AVTF guy, what do you do for work? Okay, who invented the AVTF? Fisk. Okay,
and that's all he says. He asks him like two questions.
and then Mulligan's like, hey, where'd you get those scars? And he's like, well, my father was Frank Castle. But then he's like, oh, but Karen Page was maybe the getaway driver. And she's like, haha, maybe. You said maybe. You don't actually know for sure. Haha, lawyer.
It was like the worst lawyering.
Do you remember her opening statement?
Was that the one where she's like, what is a vigilante though? Is it someone who's just really been taken to the end of their rope and they're fighting back against the corruption? And it's like, that's still against the law.
It's literally every lazy person at like a wedding speech where they're like, Merriam-Webster defines marriage as. She's like, Merriam-Webster defines vigilantism as.
But it's also like justifying the crime as a crime of necessity is so bullshit. And I wish Steven was here because he'd be like, text your lawyer brother-in-law right now.
Get him on the phone.
Because it'd be like, no. Because it's not like stole a sandwich from 7-Eleven to feed his family. This would be the equivalent of Karen's been robbing delivery trucks from Domino's for months now. But it's like, no, she's feeding the community. It's like, she's doing a crime.
But also the Domino's guys were evil.
Maybe.
According to the court of public opinion.
Yes.
Just dumb. And also this whole episode is kind of framed around that. So they're like, hey, we're doing a court case. But bam, 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 bam. Like we get epic music as they walk into the courtroom. I think we cut away before we even get in the courtroom, which is incredibly annoying. But then once they're in the courtroom, it's nothingness. And then it ends. And then we get, well, it's got to be top 3 dumbest plans of like getting Mulligan out of the building.
And defenders of this show are going to be like,
Defenders.
the defenders will be like, well, there's no lawyering because they know there's no point to it because they're actually just putting on performances and making the AVTF and the judges and people say stuff in front of the cameras. But it's like, that should be your backup plan that you're running through the entire time. You should still be trying to, because they mentioned it 2 or 3 times, is Fisk is going to try to take you down legally, so we need to fight it back legally. That's why they should have brought in Matt. They need the best lawyer in Hell's Kitchen, Matt. But he doesn't do any lawyering. The whole time it's more focused on Mulligan being like, oh, did I ask a silly question? I wasn't asking it for the jury. And then it cuts to like a thing of the cameras and I'm like, of course, you know.
They show Kingpin multiple times focusing on that, and then he's surprised or angry. I do love D'Onofrio, but he's not given me much in that scene where he's like I think it's like a 10-second cut, and then at the very end he like looks a little angry. So it's like they weren't expecting Matt, and that should have been the big thing that blows it wide open. Like just Matt being here should have upset the plan, but it seems like their plan was always stupid. The reason I wasn't even engaged during that whole section was, like you said, it's a kangaroo court. It's not real. They're paid people.
Which they know. Mulligan couldn't get the swordsman off.
Well, that's unfortunate. But I know that they're fake. Mulligan knows they're fake. So I'm like, thank you, episode 7, penultimate episode, for being like, hey, here's this thing that you know doesn't matter. She knows doesn't matter. Kingpin knows doesn't matter. Oh, Matt's here. Oh, he's doing lawyery stuff.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at my keys. Get him. And then top 3 worst ways to get Mulligan out of the building. You can walk her out with the cameras, all the people, or you can walk through a dark car park, like world's darkest car park, mind you.
Sounds like a good idea.
And then also Matt doesn't know anyone else is there. And again, with him taking 27 seconds to react to like someone reloading a gun in an echoey car park, Cherry could have heard that.
Yeah.
And he's old as shit. So why did they enact this plan? One of their friend cops gets headshot.
Yeah.
Because terrible plan.
Matt dodges so many bullets. And he's helping Mulligan across to like get cover behind a car. There's like automatic gunfire sparking the entire outline of them. It's like a Looney Tunes.
No, you don't understand. Because he can see in 360 degrees, he can
course.
tell where every gun is pointing at all times.
He knows the blind spots.
And also this
Because he's
concrete
blind.
garage has 0 ricochet. Everyone is fine except
Yes.
that one guy. Don't worry, negotiator cop gets him out of there. But then Matt gets shot, which I'm glad Matt finally gets shot.
Maybe a leg.
But he also throws his cane and like takes him down.
Yes. He javelins his cane through a window and then maybe impales a guy, or maybe just like...
I thought maybe locked up the steering wheel and he's like, oh, and then he crashes.
That doesn't stop the brakes.
Correct. Matt gets shot. It just makes Matt more useless for the finale now. So now they're going to be like, oh, he couldn't beat Kingpin like he did last episode because he was shot now. Wowee. It's also AVTF guys out their window wearing AVTF gear, firing AVTF guns. So like they're not hiding.
Regular cops still operate in the city. It's just that the AVTF guys have the capacity to do their illegal stuff.
Yeah.
Cherry and like the head detective guy that we see in this episode helping Karen, it shows that regular cops still have power to investigate and like have authority, like in like some respect.
Yeah. And if you're shooting up the cops, it's again, if anyone recorded any of this or bothered to like tell people about this, tell BB. Let BB leak
They're
this.
in an underground car park under a courthouse. You think there's no cameras?
Yeah, very true. They probably turned him off.
Fisk has many fingers and many pies.
They could have at least been plainclothes. They could have put a bomb in their car. They knew which car they were going to.
Yep. Matt should have heard the ticking of the bomb at like the last second.
Yeah, he should have heard them as soon as they opened the door. He hears some guy go, oh, they're here.
He should have heard them from their level before they even got in the elevator.
It's just stupid at this point.
Which of the 2 other bad storylines do you want first?
Oh,
The shorter one or the longer one?
give me the shorter one.
Okay. We get Matt's psychiatric ex-girlfriend.
You mean Psycho?
I actually don't know which one she is, a psychiatrist or a therapist or a psychotherapist. One can prescribe drugs. I
I'm
think.
not sure she knows either.
Matt's ex, she's interesting because the last we saw her in the last episode, she was at the wake of Vanessa Fisk, stealing her jewelry and then getting like mind finger banged by Buck in like a weird choking foreplay.
Psychosexual.
It was very weird. It was weird.
It made me uncomfortable.
It made me uncomfortable and I'm a creep.
This is the moment your mum would walk like in to start vacuuming.
Hey, honey. Oh, anyway, so yeah, she has that last episode where like she's a thief now, and then she's also seeing Muse everywhere.
But are you really stealing if Fisk is okay with it and gives you the other earring? Heather is called into Fisk's office, and Fisk is like, I know you stole the earring. You're a bit of a weird psychopath, but for some reason, I like you. Here's the other earring.
It's like,
I don't know what that scene was for.
I think he's trying to groom her into being the next queen pin.
Maybe I got to be missing something. Like, please, for the love of God, explain that to me in some weird like.
I think we weren't picking up the undertones.
I'm sure there was something in that scene.
There was something. Fisk grunted once or twice.
But Karen's here.
So in this episode, we get her psychoanalysis of Karen. She tries to do her whole corrupt psychoanalysis thing, but then Karen's just like, I fuck Matt so good, and you don't get to do that anymore.
She Uno reverses it.
And I don't have a problem with him being like a bad boyfriend.
I love him being Daredevil. It's hot.
And she pauses her recording. Sign this woman up to Dana White's power slap right now. In 3 slaps, Karen's like bleeding. Is like, is that all you got, pussy?
I didn't hear no bell.
Obviously starts with Karen getting booked. She doesn't go to actual jail. She's being held in a precinct. So that's why she's not in jail, because we were wondering that.
She gets NYPD merch.
She gets NYPD merch, but still goes in like a jail cell and then gets visited by Fisk straight away. This is crazy. He's strangling her through the bars. We hear cracking, which we have to assume is his fingers, because if it's hers, she should be dead.
It's just a TV show. Like, it's stupid.
It's silly. It's silly.
What if she's down the bottom, like, cracking her hands?
Oh,
Maybe.
giving him a handy under the thing. But yeah, she has this weird conversation with Fisk where she's like, you scared, pussy boy? Huh? You scared? Karen's whole character in this episode just feels so off.
Yeah.
Because I liked Karen in like the early seasons of Daredevil and in the Punisher show. She was like the best case study for like how to do like a strong woman in like a show. Karen was like smart and resourceful, and she was like, fuck this lawyering shit. I want to be a detective, and then I want to work for a newspaper, and then like be an investigator. Like, she was doing it all, and like I loved like her presence in the earlier seasons. But this episode, am I weird? Did she feel weird?
She was weirdly stony. I guess she just got arrested and saw a good dude get shot, so she's a bit on edge. She's a bit crazy. But like, she was fine in her one-on-one Daredevil section. Like, she was Karen, so that was fine. But yeah, the rest of it, she's just like a hard woman. Because in her conversation with Fisk, I also don't understand Fisk still. We're like 7 episodes in, and what does Fisk want? It seems like now he is performing to himself as well. When he's talking to Karen, it sounds like he believes his own shit, because he's talking about how, oh, you're aiding and abetting a psychopathic vigilante, when like Fisk is the one doing all the illegal shit. Old Fisk knew he was doing illegal shit, but was still like, it's okay because I'm doing it, or it's okay because it's for the good of the city. Like, even season 1, it kind of felt like, I'm doing evil stuff, I'm breaking the rules, but it's for the betterment. Whereas now, I guess he's snapped, because he's kind of talking like Daredevil actually is a bad guy. And he's like, no, I can save the city. When the city is not in peril apart from all of the killing. Like, I don't know what they're doing there. It feels like he should have dropped his mask there. And he is finally real for the first time this season because there's no cameras on him. He's talking to Karen. He's like, no, I actually do just want power. Or like, I'm taking over for this reason. Or I have a vendetta to solve. You killed my wife, rada rada. But he's actually saying like, yeah, you killed Vanessa.
He's like, no, you've done way more killing than I have.
Yeah, Karen didn't kill Vanessa at all. And she really wasn't even involved with that. And he knows that. So it's just very weird the way he's talking.
Yeah. Like, if he says that to Karen, what does he say to Bullseye? Because he's just going to say the same thing. But it's like, those two people were two very separate people in the death of Vanessa. So
he's entirely one note now. They've completely ruined Fisk.
Not only have they not progressed well with the storylines they've have to like grandfathered in from the good Netflix stuff, the characters they have introduced, they're not doing them any justice. Like, I'm not interested in where Buck's going to be going, because we spent last episode giving him a bit of backstory as well. And he's like, oh, the episode before, his MI6 training and how Wesley introduced him to Buck and stuff. He was like the doer man.
Yeah, he owes Fisk his life now, and that's why he's evil, I swear. Like, all this stuff you didn't see, that's why. Also, the AVTF guy is just comically evil.
Yes.
But I guess he's evil because he is the love of the game, or like he truly believes it, because he's got no backstory. He's got nothing there. It was literally like, hey, you're a psycho. I'm going to appoint you to the anti-vigilante task force.
Oh, yeah.
Go do psycho shit. Heather's still having Muse appear in the corner.
Yeah.
That would be very fun. The way they're using like him being in random shots with her, that could be very fun if they did anything with it.
Yeah.
But instead, she's just like a psycho.
We spent a whole season of it with like nothing. And
yeah.
If it doesn't pay off in next week's episode, then it was for nothing, because it's taking too long to pay off.
Well, we have 50 minutes now to pay off this whole show. And the one thing we know from the trailer that is, it's not spoilers, but he has a hallway fight with Jessica Jones where he dodges more automatic fire by using a billy club. And him and his army, Daredevil and his army, stand at the bottom of a courtyard and look up at Fisk, and Fisk looks down at them.
Yeah.
And I assume they do some Viva La. And that's the end. It's going to be that. We know Matt has a beard next season.
They filmed season 3, so it will be coming.
Yes, we have no choice.
We have no choice. Thank you for the content, Disney. There's one last thing I want to go over is there's a very short interaction with Jessica Jones talking to Matthew Lillard. She comes into his bedroom. He wakes up from like, his nap, and I'm like, excellent acting there, Matthew, because he's like, and I'm like, excellent job there. And then she essentially just threatens him, and he's like, whoa, big misunderstanding. And then he kind of infers that some of the defenders or some superpowered heroes are doing work for the CIA in far off countries.
So that she doesn't have to, yeah.
Luke Cage is somewhere abroad fighting the good fight.
Yeah, but also he's a little bitch now.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of using the CIA to take out Fisk, he's like, oh no, I'm against Fisk now. Fisk burned me, I hate him now. This man is like running weapons and was about to shoot Fisk in a cargo area with 2 random other CIA guys before they got killed. Why is he now just sitting in bed in the middle of the day being a little bitch? And also he sent his goons after Jessica Jones to tell her to not get involved while she was not getting involved, therefore making her get involved.
Yeah.
She literally walks into his bedroom and is like, why did you get me in the plot? And he's like, I was told to, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, this show just keeps getting worse, honestly. I think the middle of the season, I thought we were having some potential.
I thought with the start of season 2, I'm like, well, at least it's better than season 1. And then now it's all just like indistinguishable, just like it's all from the same pot.
I think I like season 1 more because it moved more.
The creation of Fisk as mayor and stuff.
Yeah. Daredevil was something at the start and something at the end, whereas this season, he's literally the same guy the whole way through.
We get a good lawyer scene. Frank's in it for a little bit. We get a good Frank and Daredevil.
And I hated season 1.
Yeah.
Anyway, stupid show keeps getting stupider, but maybe you guys liked it, or maybe you just like us talking about it. Either way, thank you very much.
Bye.